2, Scene 3. This is a really famous scene. Again, I think it shows the absolute genius of Shakespeare. After that brutal, Act 2, Scene 1, the bells tolling, Macbeth kills Duncan, the last scene with Lady Macbeth, they got the blood and the guilt and everything is coming to a head, some really dark stuff. This is a scene of absolute comic relief here, which is both beautifully strange, bizarre, and wonderful to have in this blood-soaked tragedy. We didn't really have too much of that or there isn't much of that in Hamlet. Although some of Hamlet's soliloquies where he's proselytizing and self-lacerating, like what a rogue and peasant slave. I'm an ass. That can be. I think that reads can be a little funny, but here we have synopsis Act 2, Scene 3. A drunken attendant, answering the knocking at the gate, plays the role of devil porter at the gates of hell. He admits Macduff and Lennox, who have come to wake Duncan. Macbeth appears and greets them. Macduff exits to wake Duncan, then returns to announce Duncan's murder. Macbeth and Lennox go to see for themselves. When they return, Lennox announces that Duncan's servants are the murderers. Macbeth reveals that he has slain the servants. That's Macbeth kills the servants too. They killed Duncan, and I'm covering up by killing them. But when his motives are questioned, Lady Macbeth interrupts by calling for help for herself. Duncan's sons, Malcolm and Donald Bain, plan to flee for their lives. Malcolm to England, Donald Bain to Ireland. Knocking within, enter a porter. So here we have the porter here. Here's a knocking indeed. And this reads like prose here, more so than the poetic previous lines. Here's a knocking indeed. If a man were porter of Hellgate, he should have old turning the key. Old turning the key would certainly have plenty of. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? The name of Beelzebub? The devil, right? Here's a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. The farmer, that's a joke there. The farmer hoarded so he could later sell high, but when it looked as though there would be a crop surplus, he hanged himself. Come in time, have napkins enough about you. Here you'll sweat for it. Knock, knock, who's there? In the devil's name faith? Here's an equivocator, Jesuit, that could swear in both the scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. He's playing the porter at the gates of hell here. Oh, come in, equivocator. Knock, 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 knock. Who's there? Faith, here's an English tailor. Come hither for stealing out of a French hose, the tight-fitting hose. Come in, tailor, here you may roast your goose. The pressing iron's the goose. Knock, 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 never at quiet. What are you? But this place is too cold for hell. I'll devil porter it no further. I had thought to have let in some of all professions that go to primrose way, the everlasting bonfire. Knock. Anon, anon, I pray you, remember the porter. This would be, if we were watching this would be the comic relief here. This kind of porter drunk, kind of playing along. I'm opening the gates of hell to all these people who have done these dastardly deeds, etc., etc. Macduff. Was it so late, friend, ere you went to bed that you do lie so late? Faith, sir, we were carousing till the second cock and drink. About 3 a.m. That's the 3 a.m. The first is midnight. Sir is a great provoker of three things. What three things does drink especially provoke? The porter speaking in prose here, right? Marry, sir, nose painting. It turns your nose red, right, when you drink a lot. Sleep and urine, right? Lechery, sir, it provokes and unprovokes. The porter is comic, and Shakespeare's brilliance. Remember, like in Hamlet, he gives the gravedigger some comic. Shakespeare's brilliance is to give these workers these comic lines that are, lechery, sir, it provokes and unprovokes. It can make a man horny. It can make him impotent, right? It provokes and unprovokes. It provokes a desire, but it takes away the performance, right? There we go, Therefore, much drink may be said to be an equivocator with lechery. It makes him and it mars him. It sets him on and it takes him off. It persuades him and it disheartens him, makes him stands to. There's, if the audience would be howling with laughter. Erection makes him stands to there, right? And not stand to. Can't get. In conclusion, equivocates him in his sleep, and giving him the lie leaves him. Gives him the lie, but leaves him. I believe drink gave thee the lie last night. That it did, sir, the very throat on me. But I requited him for his lie, and I think being too strong for him, though he took up my legs sometime, yet I make a shift to cast him. Cast is a pun on vomit here. Is thy master stirring? Enter, here comes Macbeth. Our knocking has awakened him. Here he comes. Lennox, good morrow, noble sir. Good morrow. Hath, is the king stirring, worthy thane? Not yet. So here's, Macbeth knows the king's dead. He killed him, right? He did command me to call timely on him, so Macbeth is lying again, right? I have almost slipped the hour, lying and covering it up. He did command. I know this is a joyful trouble to you, but yet 'tis one. The labor we delight in physics pain, this is the door. The labor we delight in physics pain, this is the door. I'm just reading, there's Macbeth there. Physics pain, labor that gives us pleasure cures discomfort. I'll make so bold to call, for 'tis my limited service. Macduff leaves, right? Goes the king hence today? He does. He did appoint so. The night has been unruly where we lay. Our chimneys were blown down, and as they say, lamentings heard the strange screams of death. Right? It was a cold, but the strange, the stormy night, the strange screams of death, and prophesying with accents terrible of dire combustion, tumult, and confused events now hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird of darkness, the owl. That's the owl, and when the owl, that is the death toll, right? Clamored the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverish and did shake. There was some bad going ons, right? Bad happening. 'Twas a rough night. That's, Macbeth, 'twas a rough night. Yeah, understated, right? You killed Duncan, you're freaking out. My young remembrance cannot parallel a fellow to it. Enter Macduff. He discovers the king, right? Oh, horror, horror, horror. Tongue nor heart cannot conceive nor name thee. Macbeth, what's the matter? Confusion, confusion means destruction here, right? Confusion, destruction now hath made his masterpiece. Most sacrilegious murder hath broke open the Lord's anointed temple and stole thence the life of the building. What is it, you say, the life? Mean you his majesty? Approach the chamber and destroy your sight. What you're going to look upon is going to destroy your sight. With a new Gorgon. That's the Medusa, right? When you look at this, you will be turned to stone. Do not bid me speak. Beautiful language, right? Approach the chamber and destroy your sight with a new Gorgon. Right? Man, there's poetry there. Do not bid me speak. See and then speak yourselves. Awake, awake. Ring the alarm bell. Murder and treason. Banquo and Donalbain. Malcolm awake. Shake off this downy sleep. Death's counterfeit imitation. And look on death itself. Up, up, and see the great doom's image. Malcolm, Banquo. Death, death, death everywhere here, right? As from your graves rise up and walk like sprites, spirits, to countenance this horror. Ring the bell. Here comes Lady Macbeth. What's the business that such a hideous trumpet calls to parley the sleepers of this house? Speak, speak. O gentle lady, right? Everything is opposite. Foul is fair, fair is foul. That's the brilliance too. It runs Shakespeare or Macbeth. What's happening? He knows? Oh, gentle lady. Lady Macbeth is anything but gentle, right? 'Tis not for you to hear what I can speak. The repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell. The report. If I told you, you would fall over, which is right. It's the opposite though, right? She orchestrated this. Oh, Banquo, Banquo, our royal masters murdered. Woe, alas, what, in our house? Too cruel anywhere, dear Duff, I prithee, contradict thee. I contradict thyself, and say it is not so. Enter Macbeth, Lennox, and Ross. Had I but died an hour before this chance, I had lived a blessed time. So Macbeth is really feeling it here. Here's the guilt. Is this I don't, this is beyond melancholy, but he's feeling it here, right? I but died an hour before, I had lived a blessed time. My life up until this moment an hour ago was blessed. Now it's cursed. For from this instant there's nothing serious in mortality. That's such a great line there. There's nothing serious. Life is not worthwhile. And juxtapose this with Hamlet, right? And to be or not to. There's Macbeth commits this. There's nothing in life worthwhile. Nothing. Life is not worth living. All is but toys, trifles. Renown and grace is dead. Yeah, renown and grace is dead. You killed it, right? You were honorable. You killed it. The wine of life is drawn, and the mere lees, the dregs, is left of this vault to brag of. All the wine of life is gone. Life is empty. It's an empty husk. What is amiss? You are and do not know it. The spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped. That's your father, right? Donald Bain's father. The very source of it is stopped. Macduff, your father's murder. Oh, by whom? Malcolm, who? Those of his chamber, as it seemed the guards had done. Their hands and faces were all badged with blood. So were their daggers, which unwiped we found upon their pillows. They stared and were distracted. Remember, they're drunk. They don't know what happened. No man's life was to be trusted with them. Oh, yet I do repent me of my fury that I did kill them. And Macbeth kills them to cover it up, right? He had to. So Macbeth is like he's not he's cunning here. He's cunning. Wherefore did you so? Who can be wise, amazed, temperate, and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? No man. The expedition of my violent love outrun the pauser. Reason. Here lay Duncan, his silver skin laced with his golden blood. This is why I killed them. Right? He's telling him. Macbeth is telling them the reason he killed them is because Duncan was on, I was so angry. But we know, remember, things are not what they seem. It's to cover everything up. And his gashed stabs look like a breach in nature for ruin's wasteful entrance. There the murderers steeped in the colors of their trade. Blood, right? The guards had blood that Lady Macbeth smeared on them. The colors of their trades, well, their daggers unmannerly breached with gore. Who could refrain that had a heart to love? In that heart courage to make love known is the actual opposite, right? It's the complete opposite of Macbeth. Help me, hence ho, Lady Macbeth cries out. Look to the lady. Why do we hold our tongues that most may claim this argument for ours? Malcolm and Donald Bain like, we gotta get the hell out of here. Something's not right. What should be spoken here were our fate hidden in auger hole, unsuspected place. My Russian sees us, let's away. Our tears are not yet brewed. Let's get the hell out of here. Something's not right. Not our strong sorrow upon the foot of motion. We have not yet time to express our tears, right? Banquo, look to the lady. And when we have our naked frailties hid, when we clean up these bodies that suffer an exposure, let us meet and question this most bloody piece of work. Get to the bottom of this. What's going on? To know it further. Fears and scruples, suspicious, shake us. Something's not right here. It's not adding up. In the great hand of God I stand, and thence against the undivulged pretense I fight of treasonous malice. And so do I. So all. We're going to get to the bottom of this and find out. Let's briefly put on manly readiness and meet in the hall together. Quickly. Let's quickly get dressed and meet in the hall. Well contented. What will you do? Let's not consort with them. To show an unfelt sorrow is an office, a function, which the false man does easy. So, right, to show those crocodile tears, what I mean by to put on this, like, I'm over, Macbeth with why I killed, if you put on this over emotion, you're covering, to put on an unfelt sorrow, which false man does easy. Malcolm and Donald Bain are broken, but we're like, we gotta get, they sense something. They sense all is not right. They sense a little treachery. It's not as clean and easy as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth wanted it to be. They're getting the hell out of here. To Ireland our separated fortune shall keep us both to safe, but we gotta go separately, right? Because we're next in line. Where we are, there's daggers and men's smiles. The near in blood, the nearer bloody. A beautiful line, right? The nearer in blood, the nearer blood. The closer we are to this, the closer something will happen. This murderous shaft that shot hath not yet lighted our safest way is to avoid the aim. Therefore to horse, and let us not be dainty of leave taking, but shift away. There's warrant in that theft, which steals itself when there's no mercy left. Right? We got to get out of here. We sense something is not right. So we get the discovery of Duncan's bodies. We have that comic opening with the doorman, the porter, the discovery of the bodies. Brilliant how there's a juxtaposition of comedy and the darkness here. Donald Bate and Malcolm sense something isn't right, and they're getting the hell out of town.